You guys might have seen a viral Twitter thread which said that Donald Trump was going to go on the Joe Rogan Experience, and turns out that's not true at all. But now, it's not just here that Joe has debunked that, but he made some interesting comments about whether he's going to interview any political candidates anymore in the future. Let's take a listen.
Been a whole thing where 100 people at least have texted me and sent me emails and contacted friends because they heard Trump was coming on my podcast. And the source of it is a fake Trump account on Twitter.
Oh, God.
It said, I'm going on the Joe, it's a Trump's face, and it's a fake account. It said, I'm going on the Joe Rogan podcast soon. And I think it came out of the fact that Trump was on the Nelk Boys podcast, and then YouTube removed that podcast. They pulled the podcast, which is, that's one of the craziest things you could do, because then everyone's going to talk about how YouTube removed that podcast. Like you can't even have Trump talk.
Right. Well,
the former president of the United States, you can't let him talk.
Somebody did send me, apparently not, but somebody did send me a note saying that he was going to be on your show.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I thought,
I've got the
not really
original,
sure if that's the case.
It's not the case.
Yeah, I know.
I'll send you the look. I have decided that I am very apolitical when it comes to the future and like in political candidates. I don't want to have that kind of an influence, and I want to be someone who can watch and observe. I don't want to be someone who's actually affecting this.
See, while I understand his decision, I think that's very sad. We just were looking at that morning consult polling around the people who actually listen to Rogan, and they are the persuadables, truly in the middle, kind of all over the map ideologically. And part of the takeaway from morning consult polling was these are exactly the type of people that politicians want to reach. You and I have always intuitively understood that. That's who our audience really terms to be, and it's always funny that the politicians don't want to engage with it. But the fact that he's declaring outright that he doesn't want to do that just shows you that the immense pressure from the media and others have made it so that the biggest podcaster in the world doesn't want to engage with these topics because they can see just how much backlash that invites. And that's a self-own by the media, because you're also making it so that the lack of incentive to engage, would be politically beneficial to the whole country and to others, and it's just a form of gatekeeping that has now obviously had a back. Now, look, he can do whatever he wants, and should he? He doesn't want to deal with it, and I wouldn't want to deal with it either if I was him. So I completely understand where he's coming from, but I think it's a net loss for the country for that to happen.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think this is probably, I'm also reminded of the reaction to him like casually making a statement that he'd probably vote for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, that's right. And then the Bernie people understandably were like, the most popular podcaster in the world would vote for it.
Yeah, they used it for their campaign because obviously they saw it as political benefit, as any candidate would. And then because there was so much media hatred of Bernie, then they go on this witch hunt to show why it's a terrible thing that such a popular host and media figure supports their campaign. And that opened a whole ugly direction. And it's really been sort of since then that the knives have been out for Joe in a really significant way. And then, of course, it increased another level when he ultimately went to Spotify. I think the other piece of this is that, part of the foundational value and approach that Joe takes to his show is assuming the good faith of whoever he's sitting across.
That's true.
So, sometimes, occasionally, you might find a politician that you can sit down with in good faith and have a great discussion. I personally thought that his conversation with Bernie Sanders was a great example of that, where they had a really good exchange, and there were a lot of people, I think, who got around some of the media caricature of him by having him sit for that long form of an interview. But there just aren't that many instances where you will actually get a politician who will sit down with you in good faith and actually engage and be willing to admit where they're wrong and be open-minded and say things that are uncomfortable or controversial or provocative or whatever. Certainly with Trump, that would be very difficult to pull off because that guy's he's just full of it all the time. So you can't go into a conversation with Donald Trump assuming you're going to have a good faith exchange of ideas. So from that perspective, I understand why he would want to just say, like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore.
I totally get it. I totally understand where he's coming from and why I also wouldn't want to deal with it. Same in that position. I can't imagine what it's even like to be at the center of one of those storms. I just think that this is a good example of how the media has made it untenable for people who are that big and culturally influential to even want to engage in politics. It makes them keep their virtual monopoly on the conversation. And worse, you know, it just bludgeons anybody who dares just speak their mind. And speaking your mind is the most important thing that we have in this country. And it's exactly, you know, for this reason that the incentive is to not do so. When, frankly, I think we'd all be better off if politicians did engage with him. But that's his right, you know, to make that decision. And I guess check one for the media on this one. It's a sad situation, in my opinion, that this had to happen.
Indeed. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll have more for you later. Hey, guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.